Let's try again. Right. Hey there guys, welcome back to another video. So I gave my mic was off until then. Let's do this again. I'm sorry guys. We are having some technical issues and then yeah. Now we are going to be doing 3 spooky stories and let's start with story number 1, okay? Right. The harvest of Hollowbrook's cursed packs. In the quiet village of Hollowbrook, every fall the town folks eagerly await the arrival of a harvest. The town folks eagerly wait for the arrival of a harvest season, but at the edge of the town, far from the bustling markets and the farms, there was an old overgrown pumpkin patch no one dared visit. The town folks whispered of a curse that laid upon the land, a curse that had claimed lives long ago. Eric was a new villager to the village, unaware of its dark past. He was a simple farmer, eager to settle in and join the harvest festival. As his own crop struggles to grow, he heard rumours of a pumpkin patch at the far end of the town, filled with the largest, most perfect pumpkins anyone had ever seen, but no one ever touched them. Curiously tugged at them one misty evening as the sun dipped below the horizon and the village prepared for the night. Eric made his way to the forbidden patch. His lantern cast a flickering glow as he approached, revealing row after row of enormous pumpkins, perfectly round and vibrant. It was strange, too perfect, but Eric's greed and desperation to succeed clouded his judgment. He decided to take one, thinking, what harm could one pumpkin do? As soon as he cut the vines, a chill swept through the air, and a low, ominous growl echoed from the ground beneath his feet. The pumpkins around him seemed to shift and pulse, and as if they were alive. What to him startled Eric rushed home with his prize, dismissing the strange thing. That night he carved a pumpkin, planning to show it off at the harvest festival the next day. But as he carved the final slice, the pumpkin inside began to ooze a thick black liquid, and a foul stench filled the room. The cursed face twisted into a grey stone, sneering and pressing. Horrified, Eric threw the pumpkin outside, but the damage had already been done. Over the next few days, strange things began to happen. Eric started hearing whispers in the wind, calling his name. His crops, once struggling, grew at an unnatural rate, but they tasted foul, rotten from the inside. Shadows moved at the edge of his prison, but when he turned to look, nothing was there. Each night his dreams were haunted by the twisted grin of a pumpkin he had carved. One evening, desperate for answers, Eric visited an old woman in the village who knew the legends of a Hollowbrook curse patch. She told him the truth. The pumpkins were not ordinary fruit. They were the vessels of a dark spirit, cursed to the land by a forgotten farmer who had once tried to use dark magic to control the harvest. The pumpkins were granted a bountiful crop to anyone who dared to take them, but the price was steep. In exchange for the harvest, the spirit would claim the soul of the thief, trapping them forever in the curse patch. No one who took from the patch ever escapes its grasp. Realizing his fate, Eric rushed back to the pumpkin patch in the dead of night, hoping to return what he had taken and break the curse. But as he entered the field, the ground beneath him shifted. The pumpkins pulsed and glowed with an eerie light. Suddenly roots shot out from the ground, wrapping around his legs, pulling him down into the soil. The pumpkins twist and crawl into the hideous grinning faces as they watched him sink deeper into the earth. In his last moments, Eric understood the horrible truth. He wasn't the first to fall victim to the past, and he wouldn't be the last. The next morning, the villagers found Eric's farm abandoned, his crops withered, and dead in the pumpkin patch sat atop the soil, his carved face twisted interesting as a grin, watching and waiting for the next curious soul. The pumpkins in the cursed patch aren't just haunted, they were trapped souls of those who stole from the land, and now Eric has become one of them, his spirit forever bound to the twisted, grinning faces that lure the next unsuspected victim. That is story 1, guys. That one was quite good, I feel like. Hope you guys enjoyed story 1. We will be coming back for these 3 dogs, so please do not worry. Are you... Oh. I better do that. Oh shit. I guess you need fire. Right, there you go. Going a long way. Alright, tell me, guys. Right, number 2. Not the time again. We've got to go over to graveyard this time. Right, this time we've got the curse of the Phantom's Forbidden Grave. Right, let's do this. Tim was an ordinary man, living a quiet life in a peaceful village. He spent his days mining and working in the fields, never straying far from his humble routine. But one fateful evening, his curiosity led him to a place no one in the village dared to go to. The Forbidden Grave. Hidden in the farthest corner of the village, the graveyard. That grave was old and forgotten, overgrown with weeds and marked only by a withered, crumbling stone. The villagers had always whispered about it, saying it was cursed, but no one could explain why. Tim, however, couldn't resist exploring the mystery. He visited the grave under the cover of night lantern in hand, ignoring the unsettling chill in the air. As he approached the gravestone, he noticed a barely readable inscription. Here lies the phantom end curse from eternity. Without thinking, Tim spoke the words out loud. Instantly, a cold wind howled through the night. Graveyard extinguishing his lanterns and plunging the night into darkness. The ground beneath him shuddered, and a thick black mist rose from the grave, curling around his legs like little fingers. Like icy fingers, sorry. Tim stumbled back, his heart pounding, but a mist clung to him, sleeping into his skin. That night, Tim's dreams were filled with shadows and whispers. He dreamt of standing at the edge of a vast, dark abyss, watching as his body slowly dissolves into a ghostly, glowy figure. The name Phantom's End echoed in his mind. He awoke drenched in sweat, thinking it was just a nightmare. But soon the strange things began happening. Every night after that, Tim would wake up in a different part of the village with no memory of how he got there. They start hearing whispers from the villagers about a haunting figure roaming the streets after midnight, a spectral being with glowing eyes floating just above the ground. Wherever this figure passed, crops withered and animals disappeared, leaving the villagers terrified. They began calling the figure the Phantom's End. Slowly Tim came to a horrified realization. He was the Phantom's End. The curse he had awakened at the forbidden grave had begun to consume him, transforming him into the very spirit that haunted the village. Every night his soul would leave his body and wander the streets in ghostly form, bringing ruins wherever it went. Desperate to free himself from the curse, Tim returned to the forbidden grave, hoping to find a way to break the spell. He stayed through the earth around the grave and uncovered a tattered old journal revealing the terrible truth. The Phantom had once been a miner just like Tim. Long ago, this man had a day too deep beneath the earth and uncovered the tomb of a vengeful spirit. That spirit had cursed him, binding him to the grave and transforming him into the Phantom's End, doomed to haunt villagers eternally. But here's the twist. Tim wasn't just another victim of the curse. He stood over the grave, the ground trembling, and a ghostly voice whispered in his ear, "The cycle will repeat, but the choice is yours." Tim had been chosen to replace the original Phantom End, to take the spirit's place and seal it away forever. He even accepts his fate, become the new guardian of the forbidden grave to protect the villagers. Or he could reject it, but doing so would doom the entire town, as the spirit's wrath could be unleashed upon them all. Tim made his choice. The next morning the villagers found the forbidden grave, sealing within the heavy chains, and beside it a new gravestone had appeared, freshly carved with the name Tim, the guardian of the Phantom's End. The Phantom's End was never seen again, and the village returned to peaceful until one night, many years later, when a young traveller stumbled upon the grave and whispered, "Here lies the Phantom's End, cursed for eternity." The wind howled, the chain broke, and the curse awakened once more. That's his story, number 2. Thank you, doggies, for coming to join us. We will pick you up at the end, don't you worry. Time for number 3. Right, can we get a good view for it in here? Yep, we can. Number 3. Ooh. Okay, I've got it. So let me also at my bed. So, yeah. The shadows of the midnight square. The town of Blackstone had always seemed like any other, a quiet, picture-squared village nestled between the hills. By day the town square bustled with life, vendors selling their wares, children laughing, and people chattering as they went around about their business. But when the sun dipped below the horizon, the square transformed into something more sinister. For as long as anyone could remember, no one stayed out in the town square after midnight. The reason was simple: those who did never came back. It was said that the square was cursed, haunted by the ghosts of a town long forgotten dead. Once the clock struck midnight, shadows would creep out from every corner, and the spirits of the square would come to life, searching for any poor soul still lingering in the night. Those they found will be dragged into the darkness, never to be seen again. Peter was a newcomer to Blackstone, moving into town to take over the old clockmaker's shop. He had heard rumours about the square and the strange disappearance, but dismissed them as nothing more than superstition. After all, he was a man of reason, not one to believe in ghost stories. But as time passed, Peter's curiosity grew. Every night, just before midnight, the town was full, eerie silent, the street deserted, as the villagers hurried home, locking their doors. Peter often found himself looking out from his shop windows, watching the empty square, wondering what really happened after the clock struck 12. For the night, unable to shake his curiosity, Peter decided to stay out in the square and find out the truth for himself. Armed with only a lantern, he sat on the stone bench in the middle of the square, waiting. As the minutes ticked by, the air grew colder and a heavy silence settled over the town. Then the clock tower chimed midnight. At first, nothing happened. Peter chuckled to himself, shaking his head at the absurdity of the villagers' fear. But just as he stood to leave, he noticed something strange, a shadow moving across the ground. Even though there was no one there to cast it, his heart raced as more shadows began to appear, slipping out from alleyways and creeping towards him. The square grew darker and Peter's lantern flicker. The square grew darker and Peter's lantern flickered, struggling to stay alit. He heard whispers, faint at first, but growling louder, angry voices, desperate cries, and chilling laughers. The shadows circled him, and for the first time Peter felt fear creeping into his bones. Suddenly ghostly figures began to emerge from the shadows, their faces pale and disordered, their eyes hollow and empty. They were tattered clothes from ages past, their forms flickering in and out of existence. One by one they reached for Peter, their cold hands grasping at him. He tried to run, but the air seemed to thicken around him, slowing his movement. The ghost's cold hands latched out in his arms and legs, pulling him down to the ground. He struggled, shouting for help, but his voice was swallowed by the darkness. The spirits within his ears, their voices like wind through the trees. We have been waiting. Join us in the shadows. Peter's vision blurred as the spirits dragged him into the centre of a square where the stones themselves to shift and crack open, revealing a dark, endless pit. The last thing Peter saw before he was pulled into the abyss was the clock tower's hand frozen at midnight, never leaving again. The next morning, the townspeople found Peter's lantern flickering weakly on the stone bench, but there was no sign of him. His disappearing became just another whispering tale among the villagers, a warning to anyone foolish enough to stay in the square after dark. And so the square remained empty after sundown, haunted by the souls of those claimed by midnight curse. Some say on a quiet night you can still hear the clock chime 12, followed by a faint whisper of a lost soul calling out from the shadows, waiting for the next victim. The clock tower in the town square is cursed, forever stuck at midnight. Each new victim claimed by the ghost became part of a shadow doomed to haunt the square and pull others into darkness, just like Peter. So guys, that is the end of the story. We have just watched this evil devil cat come and push them. But that is the end of the story. We're going to stand each dog up. Please be careful of the fire. Okay, terrible. We're going to get the 3 other dogs over here. Oh, going. Right, over here, quickly. Right, let's get home. Right, let's go get the other 3 from the pumpkin packs. You stay here, of course, I'll be back in a moment. But please don't step in the fire. The worst thing is the fire killing them off on Halloween. I mean, I don't want to dig a grave on Halloween, please. So guys, we will do a Halloween tour when we come back on Saturday. So I hope you guys are looking forward to that. I hope how to do it Saturday. I was going to do it tonight, but I thought just do it Saturday. You guys have played quite a few Fortnite live streams today, and it's been quite a few. Oh shit. Dogs will follow me, please. Hopefully Gary won't run the wolf. He didn't do. Well, not quite these. Sit, sit, sit. Sit, sit. Sit, sit. Let's hold you a second. Sit. There you go. Get you home. And that is the end of the live stream, guys. So thank you for watching. And goodbye.